Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Times podcast here today. I'm joined with Macauly for episode 48, I think, of this wonderful show. How are you, Macauly? This is the first time ever. This is a new guest,
Yeah,
technically.
I'm excited to be here. I've been waiting a few weeks for this day. It's finally here. I'm excited. Also nervous, but here we go.
Yeah, you'll be all right. So we've got a big show coming back for you. We're going to be talking about the finale of One Division. Spoilers ahead. We're not going to be holding back on the spoils. And also we're going to talk about possibly the best Batman movie ever made. Hmm. But yeah, so McCoy, how are you? How have you been? Have you been up to
Um,
much? How's lockdown treating you?
um, yeah, keeping myself occupied as always. Watching loads of films, TV series, getting out and about, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, you need to check out Macaulay's Twitter and or Instagram because whenever he goes out and it's a nice day, you get some very interesting photos of, you know, your surroundings.
Yeah,
Uh, Also, you're one of those jammy buggers. I've got a PS5, so obviously you've been very. The thing is, though, you said that you had no problem pre-ordering it before everything started. You were like, just did it
yeah. It,
nonchalantly.
it was such a casual order. Like, obviously, the build up to the release date was there, and I was just, I'm an hour in. Do I get it? Do I not? And then I was just like, well, I've got loads of money in my savings that I'm saving for driving lessons that's not going anywhere. So I'll treat myself to a console, essentially. And I just went on a website, it was in stock, I clicked order, and then it arrived on release day. No issues at all. But I think a lot of people didn't really have a lot of issues to start with, and it wasn't until it sort of sold out that it started to become a problem with people like bulk buying them and things.
It wasn't. Yeah, I don't think people really understood the severity of how bad it is to get a PS5. Because you said yesterday when we were chatting, it's due like one of the chips in the actual system. They just don't have enough material yet to mass produce it. I think.
Yeah, it's just one of those
Which
things that's created by hype. Like so many people got it, and when it sold out and people couldn't get it, all the people that weren't really fussed on it now want it. So,
yeah,
and the more it happens, and the more stock that comes out that people can't get, the more people want it. So it goes up and up and up. It just can't keep up.
no,
It's just
it's
waiting
like
for
a.
that bit to die down, really.
So yeah, I think I'm going to stop hunting for like a month or so and just a few weeks and just
There's
let
no
the
rush for
crowd.
it.
Yeah, there's not much coming out yet anyway. We're still kind of in the transitional period of games swapping from the old generation to the new generation. Yeah. So obviously you've been watching One Division, but I also this is a segment I didn't tell you about. Macaulay asked, "Do I have anything planned for this?" I always said no, but there is this question I always ask a new guest during lockdown. What have you been watching? Obviously everyone's been watching stuff. What did you discover during lockdown that you fell in love with and things like that? Maybe not this lockdown, maybe the first, but what did you fall in love with?
Fall in love with? Oh, I don't know. There's so much. Not necessarily like big series, but little ones. Well, I say little ones as in like small amounts of episodes. So um, obviously we have Mandalorian.
Yep.
That's probably one of the biggest ones. We didn't get that until the start of lockdown because we got Disney Plus later than everyone else. And then series two, loving that. And then I went back and revisited things like Clone Wars. Just had a massive love for Star Wars, just like re-injected into me during the lockdown, I think. Was thankful for Disney Plus essentially.
Yes. And yeah, it's kind of interesting because I thought the Disney Plus, I mean, I know obviously you got that year deal, but I thought Disney Plus was going up. But my bill this month was still the regular price, so maybe
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not
So
going.
all those that had a whoever had the year's subscription, I think before next month, essentially get the same price again for the next year. So we don't get the inflation of Star until next year, which is pretty good.
Yeah, considering Star is in itself pretty good. There's a lot on Star that you can
Yeah, I've started
get.
watching all the Family Guys again.
Yeah, I mean, Family Guy is a really Marmite show. I think you either really like it or you really
It
don't. I
is,
mean,
yeah.
I find it enjoyable enough. There are certain episodes I have vividly in my memory, like Star Wars ones.
Mm.
You know, but it's sort of weird because you watch Family Guy as a kid, and you don't pick up on a lot of it, but you go, "Oh, that's funny," and then you watch it as an adult, and you're like, "Oh no."
Definitely.
It's like I was watching an episode. I was watching an episode of Um, I was watching an episode of it, and it was like they went to laser tag, and then they lost their memories. And it turned out Stewie was like controlling them in VR. But there's a scene where, because they don't have any memories, that Quagmire and Brian assume that Quagmire's his owner, and they go into Quagmire's house, and then Quagmire goes, "Oh, look at this massive cage I got you," and it's like obviously like a sex cage.
Yeah,
It's like as a kid,
yeah.
I wouldn't have picked up on that. I would have just gone, "How strange! He's got a cage in his house." It's like, oh no.
I remember the episode you're talking about. Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
It's one
Yeah,
of those
also,
things where like really simple humor that you don't have to think too much about. I think, and it's just nice, easy background watching essentially.
yeah, exactly. And also David Tennant pops up in a episode as the Doctor for
He does, which I tweeted about, I think, last week.
that's how I know. That's how I know.
Yeah, yeah, it was weird. I was just watching it. I was like, I wonder who voices that. And then it got to the credits and it said David Tennant. So I was like, brilliant. Yeah.
With him farting in the TARDIS.
Yeah, it's a great sketch. He farts in the TARDIS and the companion is obviously supposed to be Rose, just like generic blonde woman. And I was like, oh, let's go. And he's like, no, wait a minute, as he wafts the door to get rid of the fart. It's great.
It's so dumb, but so good at the same time. But yeah. Obviously One Division on the weekly, but you know, there's been for example, I started watching The Office on Netflix at the minute, which I've been getting into, which I didn't like at first, but the more you watch it, the more kind of it gets better. But also, so I have to say, you did. I obviously haven't started yet because I'm going to wait for the whole. Oh, the dog's trying to hello. I'm going to wait for the whole drop. But Solar Opposites, which is on Disney Plus, or Star, if you want to be specific. Um, yeah, so I'm going to be watching that once everything's dropped. I think there are 4 episodes out. I think there's 8 of series 1, and series 2 hopefully will follow in quick course, like they did with the Mandalorian. I hope that there will be that catch up because did we get the Mandalorian series 2 at the same time as everyone else? I think we did, right? We were,
Yeah, because it aired at the
yeah,
same time. Yeah.
yeah. So fingers crossed we can get that catch up and then be prepared in time for series 2. But who knows? Um, I feel like that Disney did a good thing there when they because it could have gone horribly wrong if they didn't. Because, for example, if say One Division came out like 2 weeks earlier in the US, it did the UK, that would be a pandemonium. People would just know things, you know. So it's good that I think they do keep it succinct worldwide.
I think that's what they're planning to do in the future. Obviously, last year when we first got Mandalorian, they did it weekly. Obviously, America already had it for 6 months. I think it's just a way of keeping the subscriber base constant for their obviously business model. So, buy Disney Plus, spend £6, and you can watch it all in one go, or you can put it over weekly, and then they have to get 3 months worth, for example.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's a good business model as well. And I think the good thing is with Disney Plus, and I mean, obviously Netflix released a bunch of stuff, but I think the good thing with Disney Plus is that it's things that you know you'll enjoy off the bat, and then they know that. So them releasing a bit of Marvel every week of this year, they're doing that because they know that means that all the Marvel fans will just stay subbed for all year round.
Literally, like I was looking at the timetable the other day, and we've got a Marvel show every week of this year, all the way up to Christmas Eve. And I think there's like a week gap between each one, essentially, with it. And the gap is like the making of, and it's the making of the previous episode or series or film, depending on what they've released.
Yep. Well, that's a good segue into speaking about One Division. So, spoilers ahead. I can't give you a time code when we're done. Just hopefully search through and you'll hear us talk about Batman. But yeah, I'll do like a funny face or something. But yeah, so let's just get your perspective on One Division first. What do you think of the first 8 episodes? Were you a fan? I mean, I know this, but just for the purposes of the.
So we got episode 1 and 2 dropped first week, which I think was essential because after watching episode 1, I was like, "What the hell is this?" Like, it was enjoyable, but it was just like, "What the hell is this show? It's so random." And then we got to episode 2, and obviously they'd shifted up a decade. And it's like, okay, this is what this is. It's essentially their life in a sitcom of that era, which if you're a massive sort of TV geek or film geek or something like that who loves things like the aesthetic, the look of how shows look, then it's great because it goes through all that sort of like medium from like the shots to the sets to the music to how people act, and it's great. And then episode 3 that's the color one, isn't it? Episode 3.
Yeah, they're in color. Wanda's pregnant.
Yeah, and then you start getting the injections from the outside world, heavily hinted in episode 3, and then essentially from that onwards, you get all the outside of like the hex essentially, and then it starts to become like a proper gritty sort of series, and then it starts unraveling about what the series is actually about.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was very smart how they dropped it, because I think they also played to both audiences, because there were people who obviously really enjoyed the sitcom stuff and they found it, hilarious and good pastiche. But then there were some people, I think, especially the younger audience, that were like, well, what's this? I want to see superheroes fighting each other. Like, what? I think towards the end they did a very good job at mixing that very well, you know. Because I think after episode 4, so that's 5 episodes, they're all mixed. It's all a bit of a jumble. You get to get some episodes in the hex, some episodes out of the hex. There's a mix. And I think that worked a lot, really well. But I enjoyed the sitcom stuff. I generally could have had a series of sitcoms, to be honest. I rather enjoyed that. And I thought, obviously, Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany were having a blast. And then obviously you bring Evan Peters into it, and he's having a blast as well. And the reveal in episode 9 about his character is genuinely hilarious. Do you remember what happened? Yeah, I should remember what happened.
Yeah, just a general sort of guy living in an attic, essentially.
With the last name Boner.
Yeah.
And even he laughs at, him and Pietro mode laughs at the name Boner.
Yeah.
And then so it's
they
just,
really had us going with the multiverse theory with him, but it literally was just a case of, let's cast him as a red herring sort of thing.
It was a fucking. I like the fact that they obviously like spit in our face of the fan theories, because they just made him a literal boner. They're just like, oh, there you go.
It's like here we're bringing Petro back, but it's going to be X-Men Petro as Pete, and you're going to think that because you've got like Doctor Strange and the multiverse stuff, and Spider-Man with the potential multiverse stuff that's all coming out, it's obviously not been confirmed, it's just all rumors and stuff. And they thought, let's stick another version of that character in, just to mess with your minds a bit more. And obviously everyone thinking that we're going to get that Doctor Strange cameo at the end, hopefully, but that didn't happen.
Nope. No Mephisto, no nothing. Which is the way I did enjoy, because I think, if we had all of that in it, I mean, it would have been great, and we would have lapped it up anyway. But I would have had a massive problem if Doctor Strange popped up at the end to help out. I would have been like, you don't need him. Either bring him in at the start, or don't just bring. And I did enjoy the fight between Agatha and Wanda. I thought it was really cool. I like the whole motif of Wanda. No, go on.
I liked it, especially when she transformed into her Scarlet Witch outfit. She looked insane. And the whole bit where she was giving all her powers over and stuff, and she's absorbing it out. I thought she generally was giving it up, sort of thing, and then bam, out of nowhere we get the spell.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's great. It's really good high stakes. It was a shame we didn't get to see more of Vision versus Vision though, because that was a bit sort of generic fighting, which was good. It was nice to see Vision back in his element, but I wanted to see more from them two essentially. And where the fuck did he go?
Yeah, where is White Vision?
He was like, I'm Vision, and then fucking yeets himself in the sky, dips. It's like, where's he going?
Don't. If you are Vision, save your fucking girlfriend, you melon, or wife. Yeah. Are they married? Are they technically married? They were in episode 1. Technically, who knows? But either way, White Vision will be back. Wanda will be back. They'll be back. But I'm just happy that Paul Bettany's got a job.
Yeah.
I think the one thing that leaving the series is we've all realized how talented Paul Bettany is, because unfortunately Vision didn't really get much time to shine in the MCU, because he was obviously that kind of stoic guy in Age of Ultron. In Civil War, he's slowly melding to becoming more humanoid, and then in Infinity War, he's out of action for the whole movie, essentially.
Yeah, an Endgame. Who's Vision?
Yeah, They literally.
He's basically been a side character essentially for the whole of the film, and obviously from comics we know he's this all-powerful being, and it hasn't really shown that at all anywhere. We get little hints of it here and there, Like you get the little free sample, but we want the whole thing. We want the full cake.
We want more Bettany. I think is
We want more
the
Bettany, yeah.
yeah. I think that's what we want. I mean, I like as well how they kind of in this episode they kind of wrapped everyone's story out quite well. I mean, like for example, I forgot Darcy existed because she just doesn't in it. And apart from one scene,
The side of the truck.
yeah. I hope she's back in Thor 4.
She should be.
If Natalie, but because you know what I think, as long as you write Darcy well, which they did in this series, she's actually very funny and not she because the issue is I think especially in Thor the Dark World, she was very annoying because she sort of had no purpose. She sort of just stuck around because the first Thor was all about the astrophysics, things like that, which obviously she knows a lot about. But then the second film had nothing to do with that, and it was just like, oh, it's demons and elves. She was like, I'll just stick about then. Whereas in this, obviously, she has a purpose. She's great. Same with Jimmy Woo. I love Jimmy Woo. It was good to see him get. It's good to see him get a bit of authority at the end, which obviously Rambo says.
Yeah, and obviously he had his second magic trick little thing with his handcuffs.
Yep.
He learned
with his pin. And obviously, then Haywood goes to prison, which is good. Thank God.
But how long will he be in prison for?
I don't know. Who knows? So everything sort of wraps up quite nicely because again, this show obviously isn't really about the action; it's more about characters and things like that. I think a lot more of the action sequences will be a lot more grand in the Falcon and Winter Soldier coming out very soon, which from the trailers already looks action-wise very sick and very much based on the Winter Soldier style of action that we saw. So that's going to be very interesting to see how that unfolds.
Which we should see in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah. What did you make of the post-credits sequences?
So a bit confusing. I've not looked into them because usually I have a little look to see what's happening.
Well, I can explain both of them.
Okay. So obviously we see is it Skrulls?
Yep. Skrulls.
Yeah, reveal herself at the end. I have no idea who she's referring to when she points up. I thought we were going to see somebody.
Nick Fury. Nick Fury.
There we go. I'm sorry.
Do you remember at the end of Far From Home, he was on the space base the whole time?
Oh yeah.
That's the sword space base.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I've only watched that film once. I need to revisit it. Which is really shocking for me because Spider-Man's my favourite.
You've only seen Far From Home once.
I know, it's criminal, right?
Oh, it's great.
I know, it was Christmas and then I was going to get it on 4K and then I didn't get around to doing it. And yeah, I still haven't. I was hoping they were going to put it on Disney Plus, but they didn't. So I will get it and watch it again at some point. But so we'll obviously see her back because she's got these new powers that were pretty much revealed in this episode with bullets just sort of like passing through her, which is pretty fun.
Yeah.
And then the final one is, well, do you want to say anything about that credit scene?
Well, the final one's a lot more sinister. So you see you get this like landscaping shot of
she basically does a Thanos.
Some mountains. She ran away. Wanda's done a Thanos. That's a good way of putting it. And then you see Wanda doing some like, she's like got a teapot or whatever. And then you go into the room and it's all dark. And it's the Scarlet Witch. I'll say they're two different entities at this point. The Scarlet Witch, and she's reading the Darkhold. And let me tell you what, she doesn't look very superhero-y there. She looks more dark, corrupt villainy, which Doctor Strange might have to sort out in Doctor Strange 2 and the Multiverse of Madness,
Yeah, I feel like she's going to be causing some issues like she did obviously in the WandaVision series. It's good, like she didn't mean to do it, it just happened. So yeah, she's like one of the all-powerful beings, so she's going to have a downfall at some point.
Exactly. And yeah, you could even hear, I believe, one of the boys say, "Mom." And then
you can hear them both,
yeah, and it's like, so is she breaking into the multiverse to try and get what is there a multiverse where Wanda and Vision actually have the kids?
Yes, she created obviously these children through Vision, so they are living beings with they've got minds of their own and actions that they can deal with and stuff, and they have their own powers. Like she wasn't making that, like they were doing things of their own accord, essentially. So they do exist in some form somewhere, but it's where they are essentially is the next issue.
Yeah, it's just trying to find where they are. no, I do think to try and get them, Wanda might break into the multiverse, and that's when Doctor Strange kind of catches on and goes, "Hang on a minute, she's going to destroy the multiverse, try and find these kids."
Mm.
But yeah, no, there's definitely more of a sinister vibe to that final credit scene. I didn't go because there's sort of that oh hell yeah moment in the actual main portion. We are like, Wanda's the Scarlet Witch. No, hell yeah, like she's got the head bit and everything. You know, you have the really like sad bit where they kiss the kids goodnight for the final time, and then everything goes to normal. But yeah, it's just that something about that credit scene makes me feel unnerved. I don't feel Wanda is entirely recovered as of yet.
No, but she's one step further. Essentially, she's accepted that Vision's gone. I think. She
Or
just
yeah,
needs
but
to be
is he?
told.
Yeah, but is he? I don't know if he is.
Well, we know personally. We know that there's another Vision out there somewhere with all the
But
same
is he, or
memories.
did he get destroyed when the hex got destroyed? I don't get it.
I know that Vision did. So the Hex Vision died, the pink one, but the white one is still Vision, and he got all his memories back, but he's eaten off somewhere. So we just need to wait. Like, obviously, there's going to be a reunion at some point somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's no, I think I wonder where that will be. I don't know whether it'll be anywhere on our timeline. Maybe Paul Bettany is in Multiverse of Madness. I don't know.
Yeah, so I've got the timeline here in front of me. So we've got Wonder Vision. Obviously, we've just finished. March 19th, we start Falcon and Winter Soldier,
Nice.
which is one episode a week. That's 6 episodes till the end of April. And then the 7th of May, we've got Black Widow, which is a cinema release, I think, or near
Fingers
enough.
crossed. Fingers crossed.
And then May 21st, we've got Loki.
Nice.
And then July 9th, we've got Shang-Chi.
Nice.
And then July 23rd, we've got episodes 1 to 3 of What If. So they're dropping 3 episodes of that on one go.
Nice.
And that's weekly for 10 episodes. And then Miss Marvel is September 24th. They're dropping 2 episodes at once. That's 6. And then we've got Eternals on the 5th of November. And then November 19th, we start the Hawkeye series. And that, so literally something every week. But in between those, we've got the making of as well.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. I'm excited for the Hawkeye series because I'm a big Haley Steinfeld fan as well. I think she was great in Into the Spider-Verse. I think she'll be good as the new Hawkeye. I also like Jeremy Renner. I know some people don't like Jeremy Renner. I quite like Jeremy Renner.
He's just one of those characters that's been in there. He's been really good, but he's not had his moment because he's not one of the main sort of things. So, like, obviously, he's been in the Avengers films, but the main sort of pull to the Avengers films is mainly the Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, and Hulk. No one really like Black Widow and a Hawkeye on the back burner, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, the good thing about Hawkeye is, even more than Black Widow, I'd say he has some really good moments. Like, you think, go back to Age of Ultron and the whole speech to Wanda, you know?
Yeah.
You can stay there all you want. There's robots outside. I've got a bow and arrow. None of this makes any sense. But if you go out the door, you're an Avenger, and it's like a really cool little thing.
It's a really good speech, yeah. And he has a really good moment in, when his family get like dusted in Infinity War.
Yep.
Was it Infinity War?
It was the beginning of Endgame, but
the beginning of Endgame, yeah, that was a really good scene.
Virtually the same thing. They were originally going to do it as a post-credit scene, but they thought it was too dark. After everyone died, they were like, "Yeah, let's not cut away to more people dying." No. Even though they sort of did that anyway. But I suppose the Captain Marvel scene sort of gave you hope that someone was coming to help out.
Yeah.
Oh, man, imagine going back in time and knowing the end of Avengers Endgame and just spoiling it for the entire cinema room. That would be that'd be great. They wouldn't believe you, but
yeah. Well, Tom Holland did it, didn't he? For the Infinity War. Did you hear about that?
Oh, mate, they all died at the end of this. Whoa. or was that?
So it was the premiere.
Was that Ruffalo that said that? Because Ruffalo, I think, said. It was Ruffalo. It was Ruffalo. It was an interview with Ruffalo and Don Cheadle. And the guy goes, "Oh, there's been so many cool moments in this one." He goes, "Well, wait for the ending in this one, mate. Everybody dies." And then Don Cheadle goes, "Dude," and he's like, "Oh no." Oh no!
But no, it was Tom Holland at the premiere. So they premiered it, and obviously he was one of the guests at this screening. And he walks in, he goes, "It's all right, guys, I'm still alive," and they hadn't watched it yet because he was introduced in the film, which is like brilliant.
No. Oh, he must have felt like I feel bad for him now when I'm just sat here. Just
Well, he's
crazy
not a
stuff.
stranger to it. He's always like you've always got to be careful around him,
Oh
which
yeah,
they've obviously played on with the new Spider-Man.
yeah. Obviously. What do you think? What do you make of the new title, Spider-Man: No Way Home?
Um, yeah, excited. As I said earlier, with the rumors about multiverse stuff, I feel
And
like that's
that comes out this year as well.
yeah,
Christmas.
that comes
Yes.
out later this year. Yeah, Christmas-ish sort of
So
time, which I'm very excited
we've
for.
we've got a lot to watch this year, Marvel wise, and things to
Yes,
do. And so yeah, it's gonna be fun. Hopefully, in a much different world as well, where we can actually go to cinema and enjoy these films again, like we did back in the old times. But
desperate to get back to cinema again.
yeah,
Like,
it
I've,
was
like,
yeah. Go
I say that because the last film I was going to watch in cinema was Wonder Woman. So I had tickets bought, and then I was in the unfortunate position of being the only place in like the south coast that got put into a higher lockdown than everyone else just before Christmas. Randomly, like everywhere in sort of like a 50-mile radius was fine, except one little bit where I was. So I didn't get to see Wonder Woman in the cinema. I decided not to get a digital copy because I want to experience it on the big screen, and that's what I'm desperate for. Just go and
I
see
mean,
any old film now. Like,
to be fair, you do have quite a big telly, so I would call that the big screen. I mean, is it one of your? Oh, why am I so out of focus? Jeez, come back. Hang on, let me turn it off. Turn it on. How long have I been out of focus? I've been looking at you because I'm
for
chatting to
ages,
you.
I've just not mentioned it.
Right, hang on. There we go. Beautiful.
Okay.
Sorry, everyone. Maybe not, but maybe it's been a lot more visually appealing. The subscriber count went up. But yeah, yeah. I think it's. I went to the cinema once during the whole, Corona restriction stuff. I've only been once because the last film I saw was Onwards before everything went to absolute shit.
I think that was one of the last ones I saw at the cinema as well before the first lockdown was onward.
And then I went to see Tenet in when that was released with all the
Yeah,
restrictions.
I did that as well. Yeah, I went to see Tenant in London um, at I can't remember what the cinema is called, but it's the biggest screen in Europe, essentially, the highest quality, and it was insane. Like it was so good. Like the sound, the picture, the whole experience was amazing. And it was quite nice actually because they have a little one of the staff comes up to like a little podium and they did like announcements, birthday messages, and greet you and stuff. It was really nice. It was a nice little
Yeah,
experience.
yeah, I would, yeah, I would agree with that and say, um, yeah, I think that's, yeah, I think, yeah, it's just, it would be cool to get. I think one thing I missed about going to cinema was because the big thing was last time that I went when it was with the masks and stuff. I mean, you had people at the door checking, looking in because obviously you had to. It felt
Yeah,
it didn't feel like that experience you know the magic you get because obviously the whole. I mean, I go to a chain in the UK called View, and the whole thing is to get lost from the outside world. You're in, but when you've got like obviously you got like mask warnings everywhere, you got people wearing them. It was very difficult to get
yeah.
immersed within the film. Not
Well, it
only
depends on the cinema. So when I went, we didn't obviously wore the mask, but as soon as you sat down in your seat in the cinema, you could take them off.
yeah,
So
so we can do that. We can do that.
I think it depends on the local rules, really. So I went and watched quite a few films in cinema essentially through that sort of like grace period we had. Um, watched a few that I've seen before that I love, like Ready Player One, great film.
Quality film.
Um, yeah, and I've revisited a few that I haven't seen before. So there was I saw I can't remember the name of it now. Interstellar, that was it. Went to see that in IMAX. That was fun. And then I saw some cheesy stuff, such as what was it called? Flash Gordon. That's the one. They did a 4K restoration of Flash Gordon, which is very sort of cheesy superhero movie.
Yeah, no, yeah, Flash Gordon. Because I know Beef is a big fan of Flash Gordon and things like that. So I know when I think you might have told him at the time that you went. So I think he was very happy with you at that point. I think he was rather proud that you went to to watch that. Yeah, so I didn't go to any of those screenings, mainly because yeah, it was an unknown. It was kind of a scary thing to do because at that point it was like stay at home, you can't go anywhere, and then it was like, oh, but you go in a massive stuffy room with other people, and I'm like, I don't know whether I fancy that. Obviously, with Tenant, I'm a big Nolan fan, so I was like, well, I've got to go. Also, I want the film to make money because it was a difference as well. I mean, obviously, the cinema changes to make money, but it was also like, I don't want all these films that people put millions of dollars in just to flop now for the next 2 years because we're all scheduled. So I thought I'd do a little bit. But yeah, it's hopefully we can get back to that. Hopefully we can go. I think for me the biggest, the massive, pardon the pun, but the massive soul crushing film I couldn't watch this year was Soul because I love a massive part of the cinema experience for me is watching one of those beautiful Pixar animations on this big screen. They're amazing, and it's just to not have that moment, And Soul is a great film. If you guys haven't seen it, you need to watch it because it's just
And then
beautiful.
we've got was it Raya that came out today as we're like today is in like the 5th of March, as we're recording this. That new Disney film.
Yeah, Raya the Last Dragon, isn't it, or something like that? Yeah,
Yes,
Raya the
that's
Last.
released, yeah, that's released today as Premier Access. So for 20 quid, you can rent it on Disney Plus. When in
Yeah,
theory, I'd want to go and pay like 6 quid at my local cinema and watch it on a big screen.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just yeah, it's so it's it. Yeah, it's it's yeah. The whole Disney Plus system that when they do like the rented things as well, like when they do with Mulan, it doesn't work. Like the premiere access, I'm gonna wait for because like, oh, you just gotta wait 2 months and you can watch it for free. So it's not free; it's still under the
Yeah, I
Disney
think
Plus
it's
paywall.
well, I think yeah, June the 4th. I think they're putting it on there for everyone else.
My birthday.
There you go. That's your birthday sorted, Alex. You just go
Yeah,
and watch.
yeah. Disney have given me all the stuff that I need.
Exactly. But yeah, I just think
So
cinema is such a big point in my life. Like I go like a few times a month with my friends. We just go down, get like one of us buys the tickets, one of us buys the food, and we just rotate it essentially. And yeah, we watch some utter crap in the cinema sometimes, but the big ones are the ones that I look forward to.
yeah, exactly. Me too. Me too. Um, yeah, I think I do miss seeing those crap movies. I mean, those releases. I think they're kind of fun to go. Oh, there's sometimes you get like a really mainstream actor in a film is going to be shit. But it's sort of like if you're home, you're not going to bother checking it out because you have the option. Whereas if you're like, oh yeah, I'll go and hack it in the cinema, you can't at that point. But if you watch it on Netflix, you can just turn it off. You can just
Yeah,
go, oh,
whereas at
this
the
is
cinema,
actually.
we're at the
You have
cinema,
to.
I paid a fiver for a ticket. I need to stay and watch it to the end.
Yeah, you can't just randomly go, oh yeah, I'm gonna leave and just not bother. I've only done that with one film ever in my
What was
life.
that?
It was called The Fifth Estate. It starred Benedict Cumberbatch. It was so boring, I left.
Uh, there was two films that I really wanted to walk out of the cinema with, but I didn't because I would have walked out on my own essentially. So one was The House with the Clock on Its Walls. That was Jack Black, and the other
Yep,
one was Holmes and Watson, which was the Will Ferrell version of Sherlock Holmes essentially.
awesome.
And yeah, they were just both very terrible.
Were they really bad? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. There we go. Because I know I knew a mate of mine went to see Holmes and Watson, but I didn't know how good and or bad it was. But now I know not to bother. Um, there you go. Um, yeah, I think again, I want to see those bad films because the thing is, they get dropped, and now we're not hearing anything about them. There's no legacy with these films. That like even there's that new Tom Holland Daisy Ridley film, which is probably going to be awful considering they filmed it 4 years ago and it's coming out 4 years later. And it was even without lockdown, it was only going to come out around this time anyway. So
Yeah.
I don't have any faith. I am looking forward to Cherry, even though the reviews for that haven't been great, but I'm looking forward to that on the old Apple TVs. But yeah, just hopefully we can get back and enjoy the cinema experience with a lot of great films and have a good time. What is the
Yeah.
one film you're looking forward to the most that hopefully you can see it's coming out next few years in the cinema?
I think Spider-Man's definitely one up there
Yeah.
because I love Spider-Man so much. Maybe the upcoming Suicide Squad film.
Yep. Gotta love James Gunn. Yeah.
Yeah, that's looking to be really good. A lot of the reviews and stuff from it look good. I say reviews, like what the cast have said about it anyway. Other films in cinema that are coming out.
Yeah.
United. It's more TV series, I think, that the big studios are pushing at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I think once the decks kind of shuffle back, then we'll see a lot more smaller releases. Because the issue is that when things do open up again, you're going to get blockbuster after blockbuster after blockbuster that just haven't released on digital, and then all the little films are going to get swallowed whole.
Yeah, there is one film actually that sort of got missed under the radar. It was Catherine Tate's Nan.
I didn't even
That
know
was
that
supposed
came
to
out.
so that was due to come out end of last year. Like there was loads of promotions for it ready, and then it's just sort of disappeared. So that will come out at some point, I'm sure. But then obviously that's going to be swallowed up by all these big ones. So obviously we've got like the James Bond film still not out yet. All these Marvel ones. I'm sure DC have a few that they have got up their sleeves. Disney have probably got loads waiting on their back catalogue.
Yeah, because what you got the Pixar one coming out later this year, Luca, which should be really good. Obviously Raya, The Last Dragon has had a limited cinema release in the US and things like that. But yeah, they've probably got tons. Yeah, obviously, hopefully we can actually see Black Widow in. I mean, Black Widow is but it's sort of one of those things where Black Widow is one of those ones that I don't really care about too much. Like I want it for Scarlett Johansson because she deserved the movie when she was alive, but now she's dead. I'm sort of like, eh.
Yeah, it feels like it's filling a gap. It needed to be filled, but it should have been filled ages ago. So now it's just like,
Like the good thing is sort of people were kind of equating it to Ant-Man and the Wasp, but the good thing about Ant-Man and the Wasp is that you knew it would somehow fit in. This is just going to feel like this should have been released 5 years ago, and then you can pop it in the space where it needs to go. It's like they've gone, oh, we could have done something, we didn't do it, so we'll do it now. It's like, well, yeah. It's like I'm happy that in a sense that's why I'm happy it's that film and we're not waiting on like the next Spider-Man to the next Marvel film that we because that was I mean I remember literally the day like 2 weeks after watching Far From Home I went to see the Beatles movie yesterday and then I came back and that's when the whole Spider-Man's leaving the MCU broke and I went no no I went do you remember that day was hell. And then we're like, oh yeah, they haven't agreed on anything, and it was like Christ for Tom Holland actually fixing it to shit because it
yeah,
was literally it was down to him getting drunk and ringing them up and being like, I don't like you need to sort this out. And it's just what alleged. Essentially, just this is the new Tom Holland podcast. We're just going to talk about how great Tom Holland is.
we love Tom Holland.
Who doesn't love Tom Holland? You know, just what a guy.
People that don't love Tom Holland are lying to themselves.
Yeah, my friend is like a Tobey Maguire elitist, so he's like everything else apart from that is shit, and I'm like, you can enjoy everything. Like,
Yeah,
I don't particularly enjoy Tobey Maguire's films, but I didn't grow up with them, which a lot of people did, and I understand why there's the nostalgia there, but they're just not for me.
I watched them, but not in that sort of awe as everyone else my age back then. So I wasn't really into superheroes properly then, essentially, to follow his films. I didn't really get into it until sort of Andrew Garfield, who I have quite a nice like bond with his films. But I know that he doesn't get a lot of love, unfortunately.
It's mainly because his second film is a mess.
Yeah.
It's like, oh look, here's Dane DeHaan as the Green Goblin, which just looks wrong. But and I thought essentially the villains are just shit, mate. That's the problem. Hopefully Jamie Foxx will be better in this new Spider-Man film. I like Jamie Foxx. I want him to do well. I think he's very talented. But yeah, should we actually get on to the what this podcast is actually about?
Yes.
which is the Lego Batman movie. Now
Yes,
this podcast was in a bit of jeopardy because I've moved back to where I'm originally from because I had to go get my COVID vaccine. And I didn't take the Blu-ray with me. And I was like, I don't remember this film at all, but I haven't seen it. And I did some Googling and it was on Amazon Prime, thankfully. So I did get to see it. But Macauly, just for the viewers, what would you say this film is about in about 3 sentences or less?
Batman's a loner. He wants a family and bad guys. A lot of bad guys.
Lots of them from every single franchise Lego has a partnership with.
Yeah,
including
some of them
Doctor
might
Who.
not have been. Yeah, but they weren't named.
They weren't. They were called. Weren't they called like British sci-fi? Like.
Yeah, I read down the quote. It goes, and the British robots ask your nerd friends. What's the quote?
Yeah, it's great. I love it. Because also aren't they like some of them the paradigms as well? If I remember,
they're all paradigm Daleks essentially. Yeah,
which shows possibly when this actually no, there's no way it was animated that early. I suppose they just had the licensing. I suppose they look cooler within the film. I suppose the bronze one would look kind of bland and.
Well, it depends when it came out. So the Lego Batman movie came out
2017.
2017, yeah. And Lego Dimensions was where we had the first sort of Doctor Who thing, was 2015. So they would have had the license unless they didn't renew it. I don't know how long the license went for.
Who knows?
But everyone else got named. Gremlins didn't. Or like 80s villains, I think.
Yeah, when was the last time that you saw a Lego Doctor Who set?
Well, the last official release, I think, was the Cyberman and Dalek 2-pack for Dimensions.
So it was 2015.
Yeah. So we had,
Christ. Damn. So yeah, essentially, Macauly did this well. So essentially, Batman, played by Will Arnett from the same universe as the Lego movie, is just a loner, and yeah, it's about him reconnecting with the world, as it were. But unfortunately, the Joker is up to his old jokey tricks, and it's all about the Batman saving the day. But this film is great for many reasons. I mean, first of all, it's funny. It's incredibly entertaining. It understands Batman better than the live action films do, especially the Ben Affleck ones. I don't mind Ben Affleck, but those films are terrible. And it's a lot of fun. There's music sequences in this film.
There's so many sequences.
There's a lot of them. It's brilliant. Like the whole first action sequence is essentially just a music sequence. It's great. And then you get. I know aren't you a fan of the Man in the Mirror cover from this film as well?
Yeah. So at the start of the film, essentially, we get the dramatic opening of like every movie starts in black, and he talks you through all like the logos and stuff. But essentially like recreating what we're thinking when we're watching it, essentially like, oh, that logo is cool, or like our DC there, cool, sort of thing. And then you get the quote essentially, which is your Michael Jackson quote, but it's not, because Batman says it, so which he kind of says to us, which I think is quite fun.
Yep.
What's his that quote? It's take a look at the world and make a change, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it quotes it to Michael Jackson. He goes, "No, I said that." Crosses it out. It says Batman, and then I think we later on in the film we get a lot more of those.
Exactly.
Like little anecdotes of quotes that he picks out and stuff, which is quite quirky.
Quite quirky and quite fun.
Yeah.
It's It again. It comes down to. I think Will Arnett is so brilliant as Batman because he's not only, again, it's one of those comedy films, it's one of those kids films that isn't just made for children. Like they get this layer, like it's very similar to the original Lego movie, which is amazing. Very good. I think the second one gets too much slack. I really enjoyed the second one as well. But he's so good in this film of doing some kid jokes, doing some adult jokes, and especially when Robin comes in, who's a bit more childish and a bit more what have you. He's definitely more for the kids, and Batman's like your angry dad. I just don't really give a shit and just wants to get things done. But you also get some really cool Bruce Wayne things in here as well. Because I think in the Legoverse, we just assumed Batman was just Batman and there wasn't a Bruce Wayne. We
Yeah,
just were like, oh, it's just probably Batman. He's always Batman because I don't think Wildstar ever calls him Bruce. I think she always just calls him Batman,
yeah,
even in the scene between the two of them. So it's kind of cool that we get to see some Bruce Wayne in here and some really good stories that come with that.
yeah. So obviously you get the sad bit where he's like reminiscing over his dead parents.
Yeah.
Um, and then you get the really cool, which I really love actually, is the bit where Alfred comes in. He's like, "Oh, I saw you like sad state before," and he basically lists all of the previous films.
In 2001,
Going
in
back to
2003, in 2005. And again in
97,
2010.
like,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, and that weird one is 68," and then it's that. But previous to that, they were all recreated, and we saw these film moments essentially all recreated in Lego. So we get to see Ben Affleck in Lego, um, and
Uh, Come on, you got this, Christian Bale.
Christian Bale. My mind's gone out here. Yeah, so we get to see all those in Lego, and then when we get to the weird one, the weird phase in the 60s,
With
we
Adam
see
West.
with Adam West, we see the live action clip of it.
And he's like
Quite good.
surfing, isn't he? Doing like the surfing
Yeah,
shit.
there's a lot of nods actually to that series throughout the whole of the film, which is nice. And I think there's a
Yeah.
lot of nods from all of the films and series and stuff, which is nice. Because
Yeah,
I
well,
believe
I
the
mean,
guy that directed it was a massive Batman nerd.
yeah, I think that's the good thing about Monday superhero films, that they're not just getting these bland directors to come in and do the jobs. They're getting people that care about these characters, want to learn more about this. Same other thing with the actors, there was a big thing about, and I think especially in the first phase of the MCU, like people like Robert Downey Jr., like he cares about the character of Iron Man, but he probably doesn't care too much about the comic side of things. Like he came in, did his own version of Iron Man, which is great, but people like, for example, you obviously think like Tom Holland. He's a massive Spider-Man nerd. Like he wants to be the best Spider-Man
Yeah,
he can be for everyone. You got, there's so many of those examples now with the new younger castings. So I think same thing with the people that work behind it. I mean, Kevin Feige is the perfect example of that. Big head of Marvel Studios. He cares so much about making this universe the best it can be that almost there's not really any films that get left by the wayside. And the fact that we're 23 films in and one Disney Plus series in, and we're still wanting more from this world. It's incredible. The only thing I will say that sort of, the only thing I will say about the last year is that I'm sort of happy we got a year off from Marvel. I know it wasn't meant to happen, but I'm sort of happy we did take that year out to kind of recollect ourselves. Because then when WandaVision started up again, there was the hype. It was hype again to get going, and I think that worked well. And I think with the Lego Batman movies, that they knew they weren't going to get as big of an audience, so they knew that they could go for this more niche style. Bring up some things that maybe Batman fans would know and nobody else, and have some fun with it. And I think they take every advantage.
yeah, and they did that with Into the Spider-Verse as well. I think it's those small, and well, I'd say small films, like the animated films. They're not as like big, high blockbusters that we're used to. So they get like not as big directors essentially for these films that they can have more fun with and get more like cameos and little nods
Yeah,
and stuff. And he works really well.
I agree, and I think this film works really well on a level as well because it's a father, it's a father son story. It's not legitimately, but it's as close as you're going to get with Batman and Robin kind of being this young, a different take on Robin because he's like literally a child in this, which creates some incredible, hilarious moments. And that's really cool. And obviously, you get the moment in the film where like they have that little mini breakup, things like that. It kind of follows like these very easy beats. Obviously, it is a kids' film. It is kids that are like 6 are going to watch this movie, so the plot can't be too complicated. But yeah, it's all a lot of fun. I mean, you even get people like Superman in this as well. And
Literally everyone. There's a cameo from everyone you can think of, pretty much.
it's surprising the Doctor didn't even bloom to pop up at that point because it may as well
Yeah,
just had literally everyone. But yeah, I suppose that's kind of its biggest merit is that because with a film like this, you don't need to speak about the plot or that it's complex characters because it is a Lego film and it is made for for children. So it's very much kind of a basic plot, and it follows these basic things that we will see. We've seen the Lego Batman movie before, but it's the things that they do to the story, the things they add to it, the love that and the craft that's gone into it, how they make it fun with these musical sequences, these cameos, how colorful it looks, the characterization, that it makes this very basic story just a lot of fun. And maybe the best Lego movie so far, maybe. I
Yeah,
mean, the only one that is kind of not great is Ninjago. I didn't really get much out of that one, but the
I
other
haven't
ones
watched
like,
that, to be honest.
but
And I think that's me not having a fan of Ninjago, to be honest. That was sort of the Lego series that was introduced just as I was getting out of it, I think, as in like original sets, essentially.
because you've seen Lego Movie 2, yeah?
Yeah, I've seen Lego Movie 2. That song that's going to get stuck inside your head didn't get stuck in my head.
Yeah.
But it was a good storyline still.
You just didn't like
Yeah.
that song for multiple reasons.
Yeah, it was like, oh, let's try and redo Everything Is Awesome, but not as good.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I don't know. Well, what's your favorite song from this soundtrack, if you have one?
I don't know. I do like the rehash of Man in the Mirror at the party, at the retirement party. That's good. But in terms of original songs, I don't know really. There's the big one at the end, which is "Friends Are Family," which is your big cheesy pop, sort of music video-esque sort of song. But I do like the little moments where you get like Batman's like 30 seconds of singing about stuff.
Yeah.
Just the little beatboxing, like the little beatboxing scene in the jail was pretty fun. Yeah,
It's just
he starts off with like yeah, sort of thing. Yeah,
Batman.
yeah, yeah. There's a lot of music in this series. Film. That's the one.
It's a film.
The film.
Did you watch it?
Yeah, I watched it in 8 parts.
Each 15 minutes each.
Yeah.
Must have been really confused when it just randomly cut and it just ended.
Yeah.
No, like cliffhanger, nothing. It just kept ending, and then you have to wait a week.
Yeah, he stuck his lobster in the microwave, and then bam, I had to wait till next week to see if he could eat it. Yeah.
Some of the weirdest sentences in I love this podcast already because some of the strangest that was one of the strangest thing that's ever been said in the history of the show.
Oh, there's more to come. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But yeah, talking of lobsters, back to the start of the film, I guess you get to see Batman as Bruce Wayne live his sort of like normal life essentially.
Yeah.
Which they do pretty well. It's no different to what I'm doing now, essentially. Get home, stick something in the microwave, eat it on my own, watch a film on my own. Yeah.
Oh, it's
look at pictures when you could be with people.
We are all Batman right now, I think. At least for the small future. Hopefully not the oh god. Yeah. Hopefully not too much longer. Fingers crossed, world. We can only hope. But again, I like the fact as well that they don't. This film, it's not just a Batman film; it is a Bruce Wayne film. They do give, because the thing is, they could have made Batman just this cheesy, like I'm Batman, which would work because that is incredibly funny and probably would never run dry because Will Arnett is so great. But I like the fact that they still opted to tell this Bruce Wayne story within the film about family and all that kind of stuff, because it gives again extra layers to the whole Robin arc. That having it, Alfred's great as well. I love Alfred in this film.
Alfred's voiced by
is it Ralph Fiennes?
Ralph Fiennes, who which is odd, which I found out earlier. Obviously we see Voldemort in the film, don't we?
Yep.
Ralph
obviously he's Voldemort, yeah.
Voldemort. But he doesn't voice Voldemort.
Does he not?
No. He voices obviously Alfred, but no, Voldemort is voiced by I had it written down. Eddie Izzard. Yeah,
because they did just get a bunch of weird celebrities to do a bunch of stuff, didn't they, for this film? They were like, right, we'll just get this guy to play this.
Yeah, because Clark Kent is is played by Channing Tatum.
Yeah, and then isn't Green Lantern
And
Jonah
then,
Hill?
yeah, and Mariah Carey voices the mayor. Yeah,
I
it's
was
a
one.
good
I
one.
think Wonder Woman is Colby Smulders, but I think as well. I think that was something. Or at least she was in one of the films.
And
Um,
Seth Green voices King Kong. That's a bit random,
yeah.
Yeah, it's an odd cast, but some of these casts just get like one or two lines, and they're quite big actors.
And then you have Eddie Izzard. No offense to
Yeah,
Eddie Izzard, but But no, yeah, like you said, I think they made a good use of the license as well. That they just were like, right, we'll put everything in here. We'll get like the biggest superhero team. Like, so you got Daleks, Gremlins, other things. Obviously, a Joker played by Zach Galifianakis is actually very good. He's very
yeah.
good. It's kind of you kind of can't really beat Mark Hamill in terms of voicing the Joker. So I like how they go for it. They don't go for your traditional Joker here. He's a bit different. He's a bit more
He's
like
a Lego Joker
childish.
essentially, more childish. Yeah, he's a Lego Joker, so he's like more characterized, more fun. So
He's
as
less.
you see at
He's
the end,
less like.
it's
He's
much
less.
more
I want to
camp.
kill you. He's more like I just want to have a laugh.
Yeah, he's like
The Joker's
he's like
like my. Oh, go on.
so you just like tell me you hate me, as in like because there's this weird sort of like love thing going on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's like that. He's like I can. He's like no. It's just it's really fun. I think I like the fact as well. They don't shy away from just shoving you straight into the action in this film as well. Like the first no 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 Batman song that you sing at the beginning is great. It's
yeah,
just it's a lot of fun. It's kind of hard to review these sorts of films and put them in coherent reviews because it's obviously it's not a deep film. You're not going to go away and go, oh, what was that about? And we'll kind of discuss because it's just a bunch of fun from start to finish. You
yeah,
know, it's not like whenever you review a new episode of Doctor Who, even WandaVision that we were talking about, you can't really theorize anything because it's just people at Lego creating a really great film for people to enjoy, and I
yeah. And
think
they
it
have made
succeeds.
yeah, and with the Batman movie compared to the first Lego movie, they did make it look different and more dramatic. So they used like wide angle lenses this time instead of the other lenses they used in the first Lego movie. They've made it darker to suit that Batman aesthetic. And obviously the lighting's a lot darker. And they've made things a bit more realistic. So whereas in the Lego movie everything was made out of Lego, it is here as well, but they've gone for more realistic tones. Whereas like in the Lego movie, the house would obviously be made out of bricks. Or in this one, they've used more realistic colors for it to give it that sort of like Batman aesthetic. And things like the sea and like the fog and the smoke and stuff is all real stuff rather than bits of Lego all sort of broken up. So it gives the more dramatic look of a film.
Yeah.
But then you still get the fun bits like the little Lego flames and when they have the fight sequences, you get all of like the pow and the zap and stuff.
Yeah. I also have to put out for the viewers. People sometimes listen to me going, "Why do you keep moving?" Especially, I sit on my legs, and my legs get really dead by about an hour in. So I'm not trying to find a comfortable way to sit, which is why I normally turn my camera off at some points. Yeah, like you said, I think they definitely had a different aesthetic for this because they knew it wasn't going to be the same as. I kind of view it in the sense, and this obviously this is just like it's not real. It's just I kind of view it as this is like a Batman film in the Lego universe. So like it's like even like the Lego people could go watch this film. Hence why it's like
Yeah,
real water. Hence, I think that because it's sort of it doesn't really suit most of the rest of the Lego world. However, it is just a great part. It's a great add-on. I think it's kind of a shame that they haven't done anything more with any of the other Lego DC characters. Because I know Batman was the big one from the actual Lego movie
yeah,
films, but I think there's a real market there to just create some really good fun, or at least do a sequel to this one.
yeah. I definitely think it could be on the cards because I think in the Lego Movie 2 they even referenced the Batman movie because I think Batman's like I have my own movie sort of thing at one point. But
Yeah.
in terms of other DC characters, I don't really know anyone else that would have as good as a storyline to do as Batman. To be perfectly honest.
That's because Marvel is way better than DC. Sorry, kids, it's the truth.
Shocker.
Do
Where's the
you
Lego Iron
disagree?
Man movie?
Do you sort of, it's on Netflix for very low budget.
Hmm.
Isn't there a bunch of them on Netflix anyway? I think.
I think so. There's loads of little Lego movies. You get like Scooby Doo ones. There's some Star Wars ones, which are quite fun.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Yeah, so that's just yeah. There we go. It's yeah, nothing more. I don't. Is there anything in your notes that you want to say more on this film? Because we could just keep saying it's great, but I think the viewers would be like, you could just say the
was there
same
any
things over.
was there any sort of standout moments for you in
I
there?
I do really like um I really like the bit where obviously they're in all the villains come and Joke is like listing them off. It's sort of like that the Frankenstein's monster part of the film. It's like it's alive. My master plan is back, and it's like you have to like you could pause the film and you could just search and try and look for little things that they didn't might not have mentioned, but they may have snuck in there for you. I think that's probably my favorite scene, just because it's so bonkers. But I also really like the scene where Batman also just goes to the the Fortress of Solitude and having like a party. It's like where's my invite? And I'm like, oh man, yeah, I think that bit's really good as well. I think the character, obviously, the action's great, but every little bit of character moment, I think, to me, is just is possibly where this film shines.
Yeah, definitely. It's just I think with the Lego movies, it's more about the fun aspect. So it's more like if you're watching the movie as if like you were going to be playing at home essentially as a kid. Like I've got my Batman Lego here, but you know what? I'm going to stick it a Dalek, or the Wicked Witch is going to come in and help Batman and whatever. Like
Yeah,
that's what you see on screen essentially is what you
yeah,
want to imagine as a kid playing with Lego. Um, which I think sort of fits into the original Lego movie, where it's like obviously Will Ferrell and his child playing with Lego essentially. So they've kept that in there, definitely for sure.
yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's what I mean. I think this is where this slightly differs, because I don't think you can imagine. You can sort of imagine this still. You can imagine it being that, but you can also just imagine this being a film within the Lego universe. At the same
Hmm.
time. So that if they did want to divert from that, and if they did a post credits where essentially everyone's watching this film, I think that would have been really funny. I think that could have been a missed opportunity where like Emmett's watching it, Wild Star's watching it, and Batman's like, so what do you think? You know.
Yeah, and that's the illusion we get. Because obviously at the start he's like every movie starts with a black
Yeah.
screen, and then at the end it's like, oh, I hope that wasn't recording, and then you see him put the lens cap
Yeah.
over the camera, and then you get the credits. So it does get that aesthetic anyway. Um, and I think you've hit it right perfectly, saying that it feels like a film within a film.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
There you go. I don't think there's anything more to say about it, 'cause it's just a bundle of joy, unless you've got anything in your notes that we haven't touched upon yet.
um, only the ending bit of how they bring the city back together after it sort of splits in half. They just sort of do this sort of weird giant human centipede out of Lego, essentially,
Oh yeah.
where they just sort of like take their hair off and sort of
Yeah.
put it together.
Yeah.
It's just
they,
yeah.
they got and we all laugh at that. But if that was a real human film, we'd be like, "Oh, what the
Yeah,
no?"
let's make a human centipede out of Lego, and that's the solution to the film, essentially. Like,
Yeah, it's a strange it's a strange one, but it fits within the Lego universe, and it's
yeah,
great.
because I did that as a kid. Stick all the Lego people on top of each other. It's fun.
Yeah, it's really yeah. It's just it's like again, it sort of brings back that illusion of maybe this is a kid playing with his Lego again. The music,
Yeah, because they end up like that, and it's like they do that, and then eventually just goes click like that, and you hear the Lego bricks sort of like that
Yeah,
sound of like Lego clicking
again, yeah.
together. So you get obviously the movie aesthetic all the way through, and then you get the little bits here and there. It's like child's toy. Um, yeah,
There you go. I think that's everything we really want to say on the Lego Batman film, as it were.
yeah, all the little bits that we talked about, like all the little cameos and little nods and Easter eggs and stuff. That's
I
the
think,
bits that make it
yeah, I
work.
think that make it that I think that's the bit that's make it special. Like I said, there is a very solid, albeit basic plot line, because it has to be, because it is obviously a very young kid superhero. but all the bits that they add on for like the avid fans and people that just know cinema and pop culture, I think that's what makes the film even better.
Yeah, and it flows nice and well as well. So obviously you get the start, you get introduced to Batman. We know who Batman is. They don't go into too much detail because you don't need to. Everyone knows who Batman is. And then you get to see Bruce Wayne at the party, and then you're introduced to obviously Dick Grayson at the orphanage, where he goes and shoots loads of kids with a gun, because that's normal.
Yep.
Goes to an orphanage, shoot them with the gun, give them money, and then piss off again, essentially. You obviously adopt him. And then there's obviously the big fight scene with all the villains. After that, oh yeah, he surrenders, doesn't he, the Joker, for his ultimate plan. Shit goes down with all the villains returning, and then it's like, oh, we can't do Batman can't do it on his own. He needs his friends. They help him save the day, sing a song, and that's the end. But it's a good, solid plot line. Essentially, it's nothing too. What's the word? Too
complicated.
That's the one. Too complex. Nothing too complex because it's a family film. So it's something enjoyable.
Yeah, I think anyone can enjoy this film, and I think if you haven't seen it, definitely go check it out. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. That's all I've got to say. I think that's the best way to sum it up. It moves at a click. You'll watch it and you'll think, "Oh, it's over already." That's a shame. Like because it's I think what is it, 100 minutes? It's not long. It's
104, I think it was.
Yeah, so it's yeah. Macauly will check. We own the same Blu-ray, of course. Mine's got a slipcase though.
I've got a slipcase. It's not on because it's not in there at the moment. I could have just given you the ultraviolet code.
Isn't that website finished anyway? Doesn't it not exist anymore?
Probably, yeah. Yeah.
There we go. That is our review of the Lego Batman movie. And coming towards the end of this podcast, thank you so much for coming on the show. Macauly, anything you want to talk about? Plug before? Oh, I've gone out of focus again. What is it doing?
It doesn't like you, Alex.
I'm back. Yeah. I'm very tempted to say something, but I will refrain from saying said verbiage. Yes. But anything you want to plug? Anything you want to talk about before we wrap up at all?
No, I don't think there's anything I need to plug at the moment.
Follow Macauly on Twitter. He's very good at Twitter.
Apparently so.
What are they? Tell them the socials.
So my socials are literally just at Macauly Cairns. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram. Yeah.
Is it Mickey Smith 007 or something? What's your figure?
Oh yeah. So if you're a Doctor Who fan, as most people are, I think, I get a lot of merchandise. I always post some nice pictures on Instagram, and that's under Mickey Smith 07.
I had extra. Oh shit! I said 00.
Yeah, it's not that good. It's not that elite yet. So I think the next post I'll probably be putting on that will be the season 8 box set, which is due any day now.
Well, it will be here. It will be there by the time this comes out.
It will be, hopefully. There's no delay.
Yeah, because there's 2 podcasts this week. So because I missed a week back. So you're on like Thursday, I think I'm going to release this. So there was 2 podcasts this week. So aren't you lucky? And also tomorrow there will be a Horns of Narmon watch along. Very exciting. A lot of us are going to be there. It's like a massive party. I don't know whether Macauly's going to be there because he'll tell me on the day. It is the day of the recording. I don't know. Didn't ask him yet. Can you reveal to people now? Are you going to be there? Are you not going to be there?
I will be there.
There we go. There's a lot of people coming on. I'm getting messages from people that don't normally pop up. They're like, "You're doing a 9-1 watch along? I'll be there." It's like,
so who's on the agenda for?
Me, you, Adam, Reese Marshall, Owen, Beef, Elijah. That's 7, I think.
Wow, that's a big.
There's a lot of us, and there are 84 times they say 9-1. So get ready because we're going to be dead.
That's going to be fun.
It's not going to be. And after that, we got another watch along the day after the Daemons for Attack the Bok, but that would have already happened, so there's no point plugging it here anyway. But
But check the hashtag for some great tweets that happened.
Yeah, especially
last
at
week.
Macauly, especially at Macauly counts. Those where the good tweets are at. There
But
we
if
go.
I end up watching it,
Yeah.
I want to
Ridiculous.
watch the Kieran Hyman edition of
Yeah, the special edition.
special edition. Yeah.
There we go. Thank Macauly. Thank you so much for being on the show.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.